getting going and make sure that Bob can at least participate in most of it, why don't we start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice
for all. And in keeping with Jim Dionis's ongoing, let's put up the four-way test, please.
Well, I was thinking, Dan, we might want to watch and see if you can say it with a straight face.
Stop. All right, folks, our four-way test. Number one, is it the truth?
The truth.
Two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill
And
better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I just have a couple of quick announcements. One, and it's near and dear to my heart, the June 7th, our golf outing, our major fundraiser. I don't know what it is about our club, but I guess we love to do everything last minute. The registrations have been trickling, and I mean trickling in. So please review, especially all the good work that Gary Weston has done on the bulletin with all the various links to help us out. If you could figure out what you would like to do. We could really use some gold sponsors, some silver sponsors, at the minimum, T-sign sponsors. Plus, getting out there and playing that course. As Joe Mancuso knows and Bob Utes know, this course is really shaping up this year. May 5th, there's a U.S. Open qualifier at Butler Country Club. And the course is just going to be in phenomenal shape for our event come June 7th. A couple of other things, too, for our good friends at our satellite club. They have a document shredding and I believe maybe e-waste. I might be wrong with that. But at least document shredding day, Saturday, May 1st, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Richland Township Municipal Building. Donations are going to be gladly accepted to help with defraying some of the costs associated with the shredding event. I believe Iron Mountain is coming in and has a portable shredder that a lot of documents can be taken care of that day. This Friday, April 23rd, and I'm not going to steal, I wonder if Gary might spend a little bit of time talking about the creek and roadside cleanup project. This Friday, 3 p.m., I'm going to be pulling my son out. Pardon?
I'll let Joe explain that.
Okay.
I know Joe. There's Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Tell him about what you have set up.
This Friday, April 23rd at 3 p.m., we're going to gather at Crossway Community Church there on Davis Road, just off of 228. At that time, we will have that's for all participants in a roadside cleanup along Davis Road. And then at the end of Davis Road, where it conjoins with Davidson Road, there's a pretty massive trash problem there at that intersection that we're going to tackle as well, too. So we'll break off. We'll have some people doing the roadside cleanup and then other people going down to Davidson and haul the trash out. Middlesex Township will haul away our trash, but they can't do it on Friday, the 23rd. As it stands right now, hopefully they'll do it on Monday when their public works people work. They only work 4 days a week, 10 hours. So they don't work on Friday. So they'll be there on Monday, according to the township manager's secretary. So we're looking for everyone to not everyone, but those that can make it to participate in this. It is Earth Day is on Thursday. This is Earth Week, and it seems fitting that we would go out and do something to improve the environment during this week. So anyone that can make it, we would certainly appreciate it. And as a little extra incentive, as I noted in a little email that went out, there will be some refreshments afterwards to entice some Lehigh and Bucknell people, maybe to participate. So hopefully you can join us.
Hey, Joe, what about Dickinson now? Come on.
Yeah, Virginia too.
And get some
Come on.
Pennsylvanians out there too.
Listen,
I know we've been through this before, but
not Dickinson in the same breath with Lehigh and
wow.
Just-
Joe, I do know where you live. Remember that.
I think what Joe meant was he didn't want Dickinson to be dragged down.
Oh, is that it? Is that what he meant? Okay. All right.
Just
Oh,
to be
God.
clear, when Joe says
Well,
a major issue at the at Davison, he's talking about in the creek there. We're actually going to clean up Glade Run Creek through that area there.
yeah, I mentioned.
Well, the adult beverages can't be done because Bucknell it was founded by Baptists, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you, Joe. I'm going to be pulling Alex out of school because all he's doing is taking PSSAs, and those tests don't really matter, right, Bob? And last but not,
the PSA.
we have a district assembly. Go ahead, Joe.
I understand that the students at Pine Ridgeland for the PSAs, they're going to put A for every answer.
That has happened before.
That's the rumor that's going around right now.
Oh, boy. We have district assembly for those folks who would like to participate. April 27th and 29th, 7 to 8 p.m., obviously done virtually. For those, I'll be attending. I'd love to see some other folks from Richmar involved in that. And last but not least, regarding our district conference, obviously that's going to be done virtually too. That is May 7th and 8th. We have all of those links in the bulletin. So please refer to the bulletin and the great work, as I said earlier, that Gary has done in compiling that. Last but not least, I'm going to make another big pitch. Golf outing. It's going to be fantastic. Let's start getting those registrations not trickling but pouring in. It would be nice to see a big push here shortly. Any other comments or any other announcements from our group today? Well, then, I think, Chuck, will you introduce Michelle? Well, Michelle doesn't really need any introduction. She's been seeing us a few times here, but.
No, she didn't, and I was going to pass that on to Gary, actually, because Gary was the one who kind of lined this up for us. And Gary, you want to take it away?
Hot potato.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to take responsibility for you, Michelle.
I know. I'm not feeling good right now. I'm not feeling good.
Well, you should be. Certainly, Michelle has been a great supporter of our club, and all of you know she was very active, coordinating the Walk for Water event with us, and she works with the Build a Share event is a major effort that she coordinates with MAC in the Keystone Rotary Club. But she also, you may not realize, she took a trip throughout Africa back in 2017, as she terms a trip for a lifetime. And so she's going to entertain us and just share some of the blessings of that trip with us today. So with that, and she just lives you know, she just lives down the road from Adams Park. I mean, she's a next door neighbor to Adams Park. So she's
Yep.
really local. I don't know why she doesn't join Richmar, but that's beside the point.
Oh, Gary, don't do that to me.
All right.
Oh, I
Go
love
ahead, Michelle.
Richmar.
We're glad to
Okay.
have you.
Hey, thanks. Well, I put this presentation together a few years ago when I was still in my club in Raleigh, when I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. And, you know, it's something that I've shared with several people, several clubs now, and I'm really happy to share it with you. I think especially on a day where here we are, it's snowing, we're going to take a sunny visit to Africa. And I have a lot of photographs, so I'm going to go rather rapidly through this because and certainly I'll answer any questions at the end, but I'm going to take you kind of the way it went with our 18-day trip there. Let me just start by sharing screen and just telling you a little bit about why did we do this? Okay, so, you know, there's a lot of places to visit, and you might say, well, why the heck did you go to Africa? You know, you're on a plane for, you know, forever. And what was that all about? Well, shortly after our daughter graduated college, she went to Emory University in Atlanta, and she majored in international studies and global health at Emory with a concentration in Africa. So shortly after graduation, she felt led to work with an organization based in the States that had a strong presence in Tanzania. And her role was really to go there and coordinate several clinics and services that were administered to children in Tanzania with disabilities. So she embarked on an adventure of her own for a year and a half, lived a very different lifestyle, washed her clothes in a bucket, lived a very rural, very simple lifestyle, and really had an incredible experience. So when her time to come back was almost up, my husband and I decided that we would go over. What an opportunity, because she had learned, you know, the lay of the land, so many friends, so many opportunities to visit places while she lived there, that she planned this amazing 18-day trip for us. And I can't say anything more than it really is and was an adventure of a lifetime. So just to sort of tell you kind of where we were and what we were doing. So we flew into Tanzania. Dar es Salaam is the capital of Tanzania, and she was living in Moshi. And that might sound familiar to you because our Rotarian Shedrack also lives in Moshi. And you could say that if I look back, this was probably the genesis of the wheelchair program. Back in 2017, I did not know that that was going to be a Rotary program, but you'll see kind of how this evolves as I talk. So we started off in Tanzania. Then we went north to Kenya, just over the border to Kenya. Then we went south to Zambia and Zimbabwe. And then we ended up, can't see it on this map, but just to the right of Tanzania, there's an archipelago called Zanzibar. And it's a grouping of islands that are actually part of Tanzania, but they have their own separate, really distinct culture. And that was one of my favorite parts of the trip. So, all right, so away we go. I'm just going to start off with a picture that some of you probably have seen before, but this is Mount Kilimanjaro. And Mount Kilimanjaro is located in Tanzania, in Moshi. And it's quite an attraction globally. People come from all over the world to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. It is the highest mountain in Africa, and it's the highest single freestanding mountain in the world. So as we go, I'm going to try to share some facts with you that I've garnered over time. This is one of the clinics where my daughter works. This is sort of just an outdoor area where some of the children are sitting, and there's a little bit of therapy going on there, but this just give you an idea of kind of what a clinic might look like, or a place might look like where parents can send children with disabilities to get therapies. So this is my daughter, Alexandra, and this is her little friend, Primus, and he started getting services when he was very, very young. He couldn't even sit upright. He couldn't do anything, but now he's looking pretty happy and he's able to do a whole lot more since he's been going to the clinic. So on our way to our first safari adventure, we stopped at a place called Shanga. And Shanga in Swahili means beads. And what I found really interesting about Shanga is it's a social enterprise business that employs about 60 people with disabilities. And these people create incredibly high quality handmade glassware and jewelry. They're sold worldwide, and the profits are reinvested back into the business to create opportunities to employ other people with disabilities. So we made a pit stop, and one of the signs that they proudly display out front is kindness is a language which blind people see and deaf people hear. So that really has stuck with me. You know, we talk a lot about kindness now. Kindness is like the new buzzword, but this is, I don't know, this was just kind of cool. This is a gentleman who is blowing glass, and this is the only glass blowing workshop in the entire country of Tanzania. So needless to say, we brought home glasses and lots of really, really interesting things from this particular place. So we visited three parks and did three like mini safaris, I guess you'd say. Tarangire was the first national park we visited, and it's known as the home of elephants. This happened to be my favorite park because there were such a variety of animals. You could get very close. It was just, well, for the first time on a safari, if anyone's gone on a safari, it's just overwhelming, mind-blowing. You can't believe what you're seeing. And to give you an idea, Tarangire is 2,600 square kilometers, or about 1,000 square miles, or about 64,000 acres. So it's really large. As I said, home to elephants. And when people go on safari, I was told, they typically want to look for the big five. And the elephant is one of the big five. The others are the lion, the leopard, the rhino, and the African buffalo. So maybe you can keep track to see as I go along if we actually did get to see all of the big five. Okay, so this is me and my family. This is my husband, John, my daughter, Alexandra, and we were with a guide. His name is John Youngo, and John was an amazing guy. He's been a safari guide for many, many years. And we were with John, just the three of us, for 18 days. So it was very focused, and it was, we lived pretty much in this Land Cruiser for 15 days, but he absolutely knew what he was doing. This is just a view across Tarangire and just kind of the beauty, you know, of Africa. And this is a baobab tree. It's also known as the tree of life, and it provides shelter, clothing, food, and water for animals and humans in the African savanna. So it's pretty cool. It's very distinctive, and if you've ever been to Disney World, you see this. Of course, when you enter Animal Kingdom, it's the first thing that you see there. So this is a pride of lionesses, a mother and some of her young cubs. And people ask me, like, how close were you really? Or did you just have one of these lenses on your camera that, you know, could get really close? We were uncomfortably close. In fact, when this whole safari started, our guide, he thought I was kind of funny, and he said, you know, because I would say, John, we're getting too close. You know, I don't want to get that close. We're too close. What if something happens? What if they get angry? What if they attack the Land Cruiser? He's like, Michelle, calm down. It's going to be fine. We were really close. They don't seem to care about us being there, but I was a little nervous, I have to admit. So, King of the Jungle, right? And also one of the big five. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, he's relaxing, which is what lions do most of the day. It's the ladies that do the hunting. The lions don't hunt. The male lions really don't hunt, but they lounge quite a bit. So I thought this was a pretty cool picture of a female getting a drink. We were there during the dry season, so it was kind of neat because our guide knew where the water sources were, so you could go to a water source and be fairly guaranteed that you'd see some type of wildlife. Saw a lot of warthogs, If you look closely, you can see a couple birds hitching a ride on his back. And my favorite animal is the giraffe. I've loved the giraffe, I don't know, forever, I think, since a child. And I just think they are beautiful and graceful and strong. And they're just a really, really beautiful, beautiful animal. Just another shot of her walking away from that area. And of course, elephants. And here you kind of see like nature at its finest. You can see the lion walking by, and this is just kind of life on the savannah. It's uninterrupted. There's no fences, there's no poachers, it's just the way it was intended to be. And there are lots of elephants, and just charming. There were a lot of babies. We were there at the right time of year to see babies, as well as moms and adolescents, just kind of roaming around. And elephants are one of the big five. So we're ticking off our big five list. Now, this was pretty remarkable for us to catch this. We couldn't even believe we had the good fortune to see this. And of course, our driver, John, drives up really close, so we can get a really good look. But, this is a leopard. And they're beautiful, obviously, and they're fast. They can actually climb straight up a tree backward with their prey. And I'm going to show you in a minute what I mean. So let your eye go to the, look at the head, follow the head up. You can see legs hanging. So what actually happened here was that leopard killed this antelope or gazelle or whatever it might be, and he had that thing in his mouth, and he went up that tree backward and proceeded to have his dinner right up there in that tree. Now, I find that fascinating and amazing, but I never knew that. There's a lot of things I never knew. Vultures, they're everywhere. They're part of the circle of life. And this is the African buffalo, and they absolutely terrify me. They're super aggressive. They will take on a lion. When they come in a herd, a single lioness really doesn't have a chance. I'll show you a picture later where we actually we sat for about an hour and watched a standoff between a herd of African buffalo and a pride of lion. And it was really intense and just something to behold, I guess. I don't know what else to say. But another great shot of King of the Jungle, top of the food chain. Males weigh as much as 420 pounds, and they can run in bursts up to 50 miles an hour. So that's pretty amazing. You think about a 400-pound animal running 50 miles an hour. That's pretty wild. So I didn't have many requirements on this trip except maybe one or two. And one was I wanted to stay on the savannah in a tent. So my daughter arranged for 2 different tenting opportunities. This was the first one. And it's not like tenting like, if we were to go camping up at Moraine. This is I would call it probably glamping, if you would. You're not really roughing it, but the fact is you're staying inside the Tarangire National Park. You're surrounded by animals, and all you have between you and the animal is a bit of canvas. And I can tell you, I don't have time to go into all the stories, but we had a pretty horrific story the first night we stayed in this tent. Very briefly, my daughter and I were in this tent. My husband was in the tent next door, and close enough that, I could hear him snoring over there. And in the middle of the night, we heard all this commotion, grunting, growling, and it sounded as though it was just behind our tent, and actually it was. We came to find out later. And we didn't know really what to do. We weren't prepared. Now, I will tell you, there are people standing all night long in the camp with rifles. So if something does go awry, they're there to sort of help you out. But nevertheless, this grunting and growling and whatever went on for quite some time. And we just kind of huddled, and, you know, we thought, well, the best thing we can do is just really be quiet and stay still, which is what we did. What I found out the next day from our guide was that it was a gazelle going through kind of the mating ritual and making all of these noises and scratching into the ground. But of course, we were scared to death because we thought something was going to come flying through our tent, but it didn't. So there's just a shot of where we stayed, and this is just a little dirt road and all of the different tents that you could stay in. And this is the inside. So there was actually a bed there. So it wasn't, like I said, you weren't really roughing it, so to speak. You know, it was pretty nice situation. So we left Tarangire, and now we've moved on to, and we're still in Tanzania. We've moved on to the Ngorongoro crater. And this is a very interesting conservation area. The crater is actually in Arusha, which is several hours north of Moshi. It's a park that covers 3,200 square miles. The interesting part, well, let me show you the crater. This is a very, very special place. It's the world's largest inactive, unbroken, and unfilled volcanic caldera. So this explosion created a caldera approximately 2.5 million years ago. And it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, hosts the largest animal migration, the wildebeest migration. But there are certain groups of animals that live in this caldera and they never leave. I mean, they just, this is their ecosystem, this is their habitat. They live there. It's really difficult to get out of it because it is deep and wide and just a very different place than the other two safari experiences. So here's the standoff. And so you see the male lion and you see these African buffalo, and you can, let me see, whoops, let me back up. I don't know if you can, yeah, okay, so there's two males, one in the foreground, one over to the right. And this kind of exchange of growling and grunting, and the water buffalo, you see the one moved over here to the far right. This was just this jockeying thing that, and we were fascinated by it. Literally, we sat there for about an hour in our Land Cruiser. And because our guide said, you know, these water buffalo might attack. They might actually attack this lion. Now, the lion, of course, would do serious damage, but they're way outnumbered. I mean, you know, there was no altercation, but it was just interesting to see in the wild. That's all I can say. Also, one of the big five, this is the only rhino we saw in the entire trip. And this is inside the crater, and this is very, very far away. This was with a really long lens, but we unfortunately never got to see a rhinoceros really up close. Okay, lots of hippos. This is a little spot where we encountered a lot of hippos kind of just hanging out. And these people you may have seen before if you've ever, you know, heard anything or studied anything about Africa, but these are the Maasai people. And they're indigenous to Africa. They're an ethnic group and they're semi-nomadic. They live in Kenya and northern Tanzania. They're known for their very unique culture. They have very colorful tribal dress. They are very traditionalists, and they have resisted the urging of the government in Tanzania to adopt a non-nomadic lifestyle. So they still move around a lot. They're herders of cattle and goats and things. And the sticks that they wield are for lots of things, but they're also a very effective weapon. The sticks, they know how to use these sticks to kill people if need be. But these are some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life. This is not the only encounter we had. We've encountered these folks, and we stopped on the side of the road a couple of times just to, you know, say hello, because we did have somebody with us that could speak Swahili. So we stopped, and ironically, quick little story, what they really loved and what they wanted from us were our watches. They wanted to trade for our watches. And they're really, from what our guide said, they're really fascinated by wristwatches. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So just some more photographs. And then the last park was the Serengeti, the mighty Serengeti. It's Tanzania's oldest park, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And the park is known for its massive annual migration of the wildebeest and zebra. And when I say massive, I mean tens of thousands of wildebeests and zebras. The Serengeti spans about 12,000 square miles, and the name Serengeti is derived from the Maasai language and means endless plains. There are no people, 0 people living within the Serengeti National Park. So it's just animals and occasional visitors. Those are zebra, lots of zebra. Zebra were migrating when we were there, and you couldn't count them. It was just incredible. Never seen anything like that. This is the wildebeest. And if you haven't heard of the Great Migration, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I didn't myself know much about it, but it's the world's greatest mammal migration, with 1.4 million animals that move approximately 1,800 miles over 9 months in search of food. They have no exact beginning or end of the migration, and it can be seen throughout the year in Serengeti and Ngorongoro regions of Tanzania, as well as the Masai Mara in Kenya. So we caught a little glimpse. I have a little video to show you of, we had a bunch crossing in front of us. So we were kind of on this dirt road, just kind of moving around the Serengeti, and you know, they just came stampeding across, and we sat for a while and watched and thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. And again, they don't really pay any attention to, I mean, they look over, but they just do their thing. This is the common eland, or the eland antelope, and it's something we don't see in the States, but you see it a lot in Africa. I thought this was a really cool shot, this little baby and the mother, and then it looks like they were posing for this picture, although of course they're not, they're just out for a jaunt. And talk about posing, that I couldn't even believe we got that shot. My husband and daughter are really into photography, and I have to say, I didn't take one picture on the trip. I prefer to travel looking with my eyes, whereas they prefer to be taking photographs. So that's, I mean, everybody has their thing, but I just, you know, wanted to take in like the whole view every day, all day, and just, you know, put it in the memory banks for future. So here's a young family. These are some young cubs, pretty young, really young. And they were just kind of out hanging around. Now, I'll apologize, this is a dead zebra if it freaks anybody out, but this was a really interesting opportunity for us. We didn't see the lion kill the zebra, but she clearly did that and drug it back into this kind of enclave of rocks. And you can see there's a cub in the foreground, and then there's one behind the leg of the zebra. And as it was explained to us, she's teaching them how to hunt and how to eat and what to do. And so, you know, this is the mother teaching the young ones, you know, how to do it, how to survive. And we just happened to see that. The cheetah, oh, one of my favorites. This guy was just open field. I remember it distinctly when we went by, and I couldn't even believe everywhere you could see there was nothing. And then you just saw this cheetah standing there. So the cheetah is the fastest land animal in the world, and it runs at top speeds of 128 kilometers per hour or 58 miles per hour. Cheetahs make a very unusual bird-like sound called a chirrup. And it's like a bird sound, cheep, 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 not something you would think, you know, a cheetah would do. Another awesome picture. And hyenas. Well, this is kind of the circle of life right here, if you will. You see hyenas, you see a buzzard, you see I don't think that's a coyote. I can't remember what that is. Let me look here on my notes. Hyenas, yeah, they live in groups called clans. This is interesting. They have powerful jaws and sharp teeth that allow them to bite into a carcass and chew and digest bones. And they actually can take down a buffalo and a baby elephant. That's how ferocious they are.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's I know, crazy. Crocodile in our midst. That was pretty, oh boy, that was just so intimidating. Look at the eyes on that thing. And of course, this is a beautiful sunset over the Serengeti. And for me, it didn't get much better than that. I have not been to a more beautiful place on this earth in my life than this. It was just something. So we had a little bit of surprise here. We got to go tenting again, but our guide, John, surprised us. This is not the tent experience we booked, but his cousin happened to own this little area, this tenting area inside Serengeti. And so we got treated to, well, when you see the inside, you can't even call this a tent because it's really nice. But anyway, we got to stay here several nights when we were touring the Serengeti. And if you look at the tent to the left, you see those two buckets up in the air. So the way it works, there is an indoor shower and there are two gentlemen, like you radio up on the walkie-talkie that you're ready to shower, and they come down and one bucket's kind of cold, the other one's warm. And you just yell up to them and say, hey, I'm here. I'm ready, and they'll dump the bucket and they'll dump the other bucket. So it's it's indoor shower, but you know, outdoor water. This is the inside of that tent. It was pretty unbelievable. We couldn't even believe we were inside a tent when we walked in and we saw a double sink vanity and running water inside and lights. It was I don't know, we just couldn't even believe it. We couldn't believe that a place like this is out in the middle of the Serengeti. So we definitely had a real treat staying here, and we can thank our friend John. This is the front of our tent. That's my daughter Alexandra, and you can just, you know, have your coffee in the morning and look out at all this beautiful, you know, savanna that God has created. It's just really beyond. Okay, so we're going to leave Tanzania and we're going to go to Kenya. And the reason that we decided to go to Kenya, for many months we planned our trip to Kenya, and it was all about seeing 3 children that we'd sponsored for about 13 years through World Vision. And these children knew who we were, we knew who they were, we shared pictures, we've shared gifts, we've shared a lot of things over 13 years. And when we knew we were going to Africa, we called World Vision and said, can you make a visit happen with these 3 children? And they said, I think we can. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of background checks. It took a lot of logistics. It took a lot. But I was determined that if I was that close, I was going to see these kids and meet these kids. And that's exactly what we did. So our girl, Leonida, was attending an all-girls high school, and girls have it really difficult for a lot of reasons in Africa, and there's a lot of negative things that go on with girls in Africa, and I'm sure you've heard and read about a lot of those horrible things. So the best thing for girls is to get out of their community and be with other girls and be in a protected environment where they can learn and they can use their brains and they can make a life for themselves other than carrying water, Gary, or you know, just doing housework for the rest of their days. So this is our sweet Leonida. And I can't even tell you how emotional this visit was. When she walked into the principal's office and she knew we were coming and I saw her and she saw me, we just ran to each other and it was tears and hugs and it was just, I don't know, it was just amazing. And she's a bright young girl. She's graduated last year from high school and she's on to college. And she told me, Michelle, I want to be a scientist. I want to be a neuroscientist. And so she's, you know, we're still in touch. So, and we help her when we can. And she's just an amazing girl. And this is her school. And these are the other girls that she lives with and has school with. And then we met our other two kids, who Frank Gilbert is on the left with the pink shirt. And then Franklin is to the right with the blue. And Franklin and Gilbert and Leonida all come from the same area, the same, let's call it the same region. And World Vision arranged for us to meet their families. These are the families. We spent an afternoon together. We had lunch. We exchanged some gifts, and it was just so amazing and wonderful. What was great was my daughter Alexandra on the end here on the right, because she had lived in Tanzania for quite a while, she knew how to speak Swahili. So she was our interpreter, and we ended up just sharing a lot of things, and we laughed, and it was a very, very, very memorable experience. So one of the other places that I really was keen on visiting was the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. And this is a program that operates really the most successful elephant orphanage and rescue operation in the world. And they have to date rescued and raised 263 elephant orphans and turned them back into the wild. And I'm very hooked into this organization. I support this organization. I think the work they're doing is just amazing. What they do is for 1 hour each day, they allow the public in. And the public comes in and they get to see the elephants have their milk feeds. And a baby elephant that's rescued, and there's lots of reasons why they're rescued. The mother dies, the mother was poached, the baby got lost from the mother, another animal killed the mother. There's a myriad of reasons why these elephants are orphaned. But when they come to the trust, and they're in Nairobi, in Nairobi is where we are now, Kenya, they have to have milk feedings every 3 hours. So these keepers that you see in the green jackets, they actually live and sleep with these elephants. They live in the same stall, they sleep with them, they feed them every 3 hours, and they're like their mother. When they go to bed at night, the elephant has a blanket on. I mean, it's a dedication to these animals that these gentlemen have. It's and the program they share with us is all educational. It's about the trust and it's about the work. And I fell in love with what they're doing. I can't say enough about the work. Another nice photo. And then we visited another place called the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife. And this is all about the Rothschild giraffe, which is the world's tallest species of giraffe. And they were almost extinct. There was only 130 left. So this organization breeds the Rothschild giraffe in captivity and then releases them back to the wild. They do a lot of education locally in Kenya for the children and youth. So they are educated about the wildlife in the country in which they live. And they hope that if they learn about the wildlife, they'll help to protect it when they become adults. So on a plane, we go south, we go to Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe and Zambia are like kind of coexist there. They share borders. And what you might have heard about in Zimbabwe was the gorgeous Victoria Falls. and they're on the Zambezi River, and that the Zambezi River actually forms the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And this is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and it's named after Queen Victoria. Today, it's known as the greatest curtain of falling water in the world. It is almost double the height of Niagara Falls. So think about that. If you've seen Niagara Falls, double that height, and it's about a half of a kilometer wide. Now, we were there during the dry season. So this is half of what it normally would look like, because the dry season is just that, dry season. But if we were there during rainy season, this thing would be thundering down all around. And I mean, to me, this was amazing. I can't imagine what it would look like, but it was absolutely stunning, spectacular. The water just gushes over those mountains, and really something to see. Okay, our last stop is back to Tanzania and to the archipelago Zanzibar. And Zanzibar, most people have heard of Zanzibar. It's it stands as its own culture, as I said earlier, because it's about 99% Muslim. And it's known as the Spice Island. I just took this shot. I did take one shot, this one with my camera. This was just random. These were girls being taught by a gentleman here. They were having school, and we were traveling along the side of the road on our way to see something. And I just thought, wow, I'm just going to take this shot, and how crisp and white and beautiful, they looked. So as I said, this is called Stone Town, and it's known as I said, for spices, for beaches, for relaxation. It's also known for doors. Everywhere you go, there are beautiful, beautiful doors. It's like this city of doors. But we saved this for last because after 18 days of dust and breathing in dust and dirt and moving around, this was kind of a nice little breather before we got on that plane to fly home. But this is Stone Town. It almost, to me, looks like a movie set, I think. And then the last couple photographs I want to share with you, we're back in Moshi now, and you can see Rotary has a very large presence in Tanzania and in the Mount Kilimanjaro region of Moshi. So I was delighted to see this as we traveled around. And then the last photo I'll leave you with is this huge Rotary wheel right in the center of town. And everybody we talked to and all the taxi drivers, anytime you mentioned Rotary, oh, we know Rotary. Rotary is wonderful. We know Rotary. So it was so delightful just to see this. And with that, I will say thank you, Asante Sana. And that is my presentation. So thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Fantastic, Michelle.
Great job, Michelle. I got to go cover a class. See you later.
Okay. Go, Bob. See you, Bob. Well, thank you, guys. Oh, it was such a joy and a delight to be there. I felt so privileged to have the opportunity just to experience it. It was, wow, it never gets old. It never gets old. Questions?
It was just remarkable. The question I had is, how did they train the birds to come in and sit on your beds in that luxurious one tent there?
You know what? Those little wooden birds they had on the beds, I have them in my bookcase right now in my family room because, they're there and I can see them and it reminds me, every time I look up and see them, it reminds me of that trip. But yeah, that was ridiculously luxurious. I never imagined something like that in my wildest dreams, but.
Hey, Michelle, so.
Well, we have a few minutes for questions.
Hey, Amy.
Sorry, Amy.
That's okay. I was just going to ask, what American behavior did you have to leave behind your travels? What was the cultural differences that you experienced?
With my daughter living there for a year and a half before we arrived, she was really good at talking to us about that. you don't wear short shorts. In fact, you don't really wear shorts. You wear longer skirts. You know, there were really no places you had to cover your head or anything like that, but because it, you know, wasn't, yeah, that wasn't necessary. But you you just, I think, had to show a very strong politeness to people. People were very welcoming. I mean, even if they didn't know you, they would come up and they would want to touch you and hug you and just come over to you. And but culturally, I mean, we just went with the flow. We ate whatever food was put in front of us, and we just you know, we just knew we were going to be dirty for 18 days because, I mean, you had to wear a bandana inside that Land Cruiser because it was so dusty. I mean, your feet were black at the end of the day, you know, but who cares? I mean, you know, but, you know, other than that, I think just be gracious and know that you're the outsider, you know, you're the other person. And, but other than that, you know, I didn't really think there was anything we had to do per se, just smile, I guess.
Michelle, I spent a couple of weeks in Ghana on a mission, and one of the things that amazed me there, or intrigued me, I guess, was the mix of modern with tribal culture. I mean, you know, we met with tribal kings and how they had the same dynamic going on in Tanzania and the places you were at. Did you encounter that kind of stuff? Or?
Other than the Maasai, you know, who are very culturally different than even Tanzanians, you know, they're a nomadic culture that has withstood the test of time, and they don't seem to be relenting on that. But no, I know what you mean. I've been to Accra, and I found it to be very startling there, where you have a metropolitan area, but you have open sewage systems in a capital city. There's the dichotomy in Ghana that you don't see in Tanzania. I wouldn't say Tanzania is a richer country, but Tanzania has 3 national parks going for it. It has the Serengeti, it has Mount Kilimanjaro, it has Tarangire and Ngorongoro, and people come from all over the world to see these places. So inherently, I think there's a little bit better, well, here's the sad part. I think that they're financially that it's probably a little bit better off than maybe like a Ghana, but the government's so corrupt, the people don't benefit from that. They don't benefit from the hundreds of dollars we had to pay to get into each one of those national parks. And I'm telling you, hundreds of dollars entrance fee, like probably $300 to $400 just to get into a single park.
Wow.
And the people are still poor, and the people don't have, you know, what they need because the government just takes all the money. But I didn't see any kings. Maasai people were the only thing, the only, you know, other cultural group that I was around.
Are they mostly Christian in Tanzania?
Yes, they are.
As opposed to on the island there where they were all mostly
Muslim. Yes. Very strong Christian, like Shadrach, who's in our club, very, very devout Christian, strong. I mean, yeah, faith is very strong there. Good question. Anything else?
See any Rotary projects there?
I didn't. And you know, in 2017, that's when I was just first getting involved in Rotary. So I didn't really, I mean, and seriously, I had just joined the Rotary Club in North Carolina. And if I go back today, which it looks like I might be in the near future, I will do more and seek out the Rotary clubs and make a point to visit them, for sure.
Michelle, did the Maasai get your wristwatch?
Yes, yes. Well, we stopped once along the road where there were some ladies selling that beautiful cloth, the Maasai, where that they were selling the fabric. And we were sort of bartering, and I wanted several pieces of fabric to bring back. And, you know, I was willing to give the money, and she kept going like this, like this. And, and ironically, before we left, I went to Walmart and bought us 3 inexpensive waterproof Seikos, just so in case, you know, it crashed and burned, I could just leave it there and I didn't really care. So, you know, I wasn't wearing like, you know, a dress watch or anything. I was just wearing a, you know, a decent watch. You know, it worked well. And I was like, heck yeah, she wants this watch. She's got the watch. And we all ended up giving our watches away at one point or another, all 3 of us. So, you know, it just was a fascination. And, you know, she was adamant. She kept tapping her wrist. And I'm like, what the heck? Sure, you can have it. It's yours. And she was so elated and delighted. And I mean, she's like looking at it like she just got the, you know, the Hope Diamond or something, you know? So it was a delightful exchange. So I was
Fun story.
all too happy to give it to her.
It's hard to figure out why would telling time be so important to them when they're nomadic existence, you know?
You know what? I got the feeling it wasn't really about that.
Huh.
I think a watch resembled Western culture to them. Like for them, it was a symbol that they've come in contact with someone outside their own borders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think they cared about the time. I mean, they just wander. They take probably their whole time scheme is probably sun up, sun down, you know, where the herds are and all this. But I think it was just more of a memento almost for them. So anyway, it was something. So if anybody ever wants to go, I have a great guide I can share with you, and John would be happy to take you anywhere you want to go. Anything else? Well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was really fun for me to share that. It really was. You made me go back in time and think about it, and those are good memories.
Great presentation, Michelle.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to do it.
Well, we've had a number of people have to pop off. Do we have a meeting next week?
I don't think so. Do we?
And then the following week we have the meeting with the Scottish people. Is that correct?
I believe, yeah. Is that the 4th? Is that right? Sound
yes,
right?
Tuesday the 4th.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that'll be our next meeting then. Wonderful. Anything else for the good of Rotary?
Afternoon. Don't forget to come out
Friday afternoon.
If you can't be there right at 3, that's okay. Come at 4.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Well,
Thanks.
we'll give you guys the rest of the afternoon back. Thanks, folks. Thanks again, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome, Dan. Thank you, guys. Always good to see Richmar. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.